Cutting limits, macht nix mehr.
And welcome back to BackBodyDrop Plus. We are joined by, again, Eurographs.com this week. This time it's Gary O'Donoghue. And Gary, how on earth are you keeping these troubled times?
I've been keeping as well as you can be, trying to stay positive. It's been we've come on to kind of talk about a very large event in European wrestling, but with the way things have unfolded in the last week, it's felt like it's been a month ago. This has been one of the most craziest weeks in wrestling and like news in general that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, we have one of those guys, wake up, see Sky News or BBC News for updates. It's been the point where it's like you just turn it off and just, if anything breaks, it'll probably come through on your phone. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about WXW 16 Carat Gold later, but there was meant to have been a second big festival weekend over in your neck of the woods this past weekend, which fell by the wayside. Obviously, you've listened to this, you know what's going on in the world. Coronavirus, pretty much, the only topic of news these days. But yeah, Scrappermania and the Hangover Contender Show both got cancelled, in the middle of the week. And yeah, it seems it was quite a lot of plans for OTT fell by the wayside, and as and when those are going to get a chance to come through, who knows? But two very stacked cards for Scrapper weekend.
Yeah, like probably it was an interesting. Scrappermania was a really interesting card from kind of the get-go, because back in the start of February we kind of didn't know which direction OTT were going with Scrappermania, and then at the end of February it seemed that they'd stacked the card and being headlined with the Indie Dream match kind of between David Starr and Jon Moxley, two of the big, Moxley being one of the biggest stars in wrestling at the moment outside of WWE, and David Starr being the biggest star in independent wrestling in Europe at the moment. And then the much awaited OTT tag team title match between Mustache Mountain and More Than Hype. It's just been so odd, and I my heart goes out to Joe for this one, because it was last minute. It was Thursday morning. Irish government announced that the venue restrictions, so it was 100 for any indoor venue, which the national stadium is 2,000 plus, and then even the ringside club, its ringside club is 400 plus. So there was no way these shows could have been ran in any kind of safe form, and there was no way they could book the trend really and go against kind of the public sentiment as well. So the OTT fans though in Ireland have reacted to this in such an incredible way. There's been a GoFundMe campaign to help alleviate some of the financial costs that Joe's going to get inflicted on with this. So there's been over €6,000 raised by OTT fans.
Yeah, it's looking now €6,700 as we're recording, and I mean, there's been a lot of shows cancelled in the UK. You're expecting, WrestleMania weekend. There's an almighty question mark, and I think that's maybe 99% not happening now. But they're playing this god awful game of chicken between the city of Tampa, WWE, and I guess the United States in general. Who's going to blink first so they can foot the bill? But yeah. I think was it on the Wednesday, Thursday when that GoFundMe was set up, that quickly shot up, and some pretty big donations may or may not have been from people on the card. Who knows if they're anonymous? But just a fantastic show of respect. I mean, I know the initial feedback from the fans when the cancellation was announced was, "I don't want my refund." So, it's really hard for them to see, pushing nearly 200 donations here. The fact that we've got that many people donating, anything at all, should help soften the blow. And hopefully when, this all blows over, if it does, I would imagine that, these lot of people on this list will be first to be going through the doors, whether it's at the Ringside Club, the National Stadium, or, even the KOFC.
Yeah, I think luckily for OTT in the last few years that they've been in a much more financially stable situation. For people who aren't aware, OTT did back a lot on themselves. Coming into 2017, the Flow Slam live show they did for Scrappermania 3 was being budgeted on a loan. a few of the other big stadium shows were being budgeted on loans as well. But I think OTT's position and how they were drawing in shows in Dublin and Belfast all through the year, and selling out, kind of put them in a much more better position to take a bit of this brunt. But it's still not a great time, and it's you know and as well, thinking about it as well, and it was a very good point raised by the OGMO, is the right decision was made, but a lot of talent are being left without bookings here, and very high profile bookings as well. So a lot of talent, and I think a lot of fans have rallied behind the talent as well with buying merch, and I think a lot of people pushing to subscribe to the on demand too. So there's it's put a kind of a little bit of a silver lining on a pretty bad news week, that the fans are going to be there through thick and thin with this company, and it shows what they've built over the last 5 years, that they're able to do this.
I know last night was the big watch along of Scrapmania 5 that I think myself watched along with Matthew Botchmania and quite a few others, judging by the Scrapmania hashtag. And I think it's just a shame, it took something like this to get wrestling fans to hold a bond, but I would say this is pretty much day one. If you can afford it, sign up to VOD services, which for companies you like, buy the merch of wrestlers you like, because for news to go by, we're going to be in this stage for a long while. So find your favourite company and tuck into their back catalogues, which I guess kind of takes on to the weekend before, which, say, as it stands, probably the last big weekend of wrestling we're going to get for a long while. Both over in Oberhausen and Essen for 16 Carat Gold weekend. It feels a million miles away, but I mean, even of the Inner Circle, you were seeing first signs of Julian Pace in the opener, taking hand sanitizer on his way to the ring, Ishikawa and what have you, touching boots rather than handshakes and all that. I mean, Christ, if we knew then what was going to come, I think a lot of people may have been maybe not quite as carefree, but people have been a lot more outgoing, I guess. Not to say it was not quite like a library or anything like that.
No, I'm just thinking as well to like that the weekend on that first show of Inner Circle, the innocence of it all. No one expected how this was going to play out in a week later, and also how much WXW got out of. They finally got a rub of the green in terms of their look, because the local government for the rural area of Germany announced that they were putting venue restrictions out of only 100 people indoors when Carat was doing 1,000 plus on that Sunday. So it's just crazy to think. And yeah, there was a few little indications of kind of referencing the ongoing global pandemic, but for the most part, I think everyone managed to put to the back of their mind and got treated to a really, really good Inner Circle card.
And guess, just quick run through. For me, guess for highlights, we had Absolute Levandi, which, I mean, I think he was he part of the pre-show for Tag League? Also, the Tag Festival. I know Levandi's very new to the WXW cards. He's one of the many names they've really had to push, with all the guys who've been moving on and guys who they no longer have access to. And, his usage here, he came out dressed as Absolute Andy, as the joke was. And, he's one of those guys, I don't want to say it's going to be like, with Charlie Haas stuff, where he impersonates someone different every week and it gets old and it, really pigeonholes him. But, if you watch him on the WXW Now shows, he's got his character, he's absolute gold on the microphone, even in language you don't understand. And the fact that, they are trusting him to do stuff like this, clearly folks within WXW, whether it's Avalanche heading up the academy or whoever else in the creative team, clearly have a lot of faith and trust in him.
They really do. I think he's had a bit. He's got a very good track record with WXW through the academy shows. He's been a project they've been working on through the academy, and yeah, it was Tag Fest was kind of his first big weekender in WXW, and it was his litmus test, and the fans started to take to him. And then back to the roots in January, he was extremely over with the German fans. And then this is kind of translated, and the absolute Levanti stuff as well. It's a nudge, nudge, wink, wink to those Academy shows that they haven't recorded, where it's he had ran that gimmick at the show previously, with full Andy's old music. So, it played in. It was a nice little play into matches, especially as well considering his opponent that match was Jay Skillett. So, I think they can forgive him to give him a little bit of a more of a gimmicky shtick there, but he is one of those shining stars though within their system that's starting to come true. And WXW's always had good characters, and this is another one of those that's going to be pretty high up on their roster within next year.
I guess, all these shows, I think, as we speak now, Night 3 just dropped on WXW now in German, so it's just, Ambition and the Showcase show that's still to drop. So, yeah, Inner Circle's up now, and you'll be able to see what is quite possibly the worst attempt to fake out referee, which, of course, intentional, but, does not make it funny. No,
God, even watching the gif of that back was just hilarious. This Inner Circle card though, Inner Circle kind of they had a new approach with it this year that they didn't announce any names in advance, where usually WXW would give you an indication of even maybe one or two matches, and then the rest would be they might announce a name or two that's appearing. Where this time they said no, we're just going to do a mystery show, so no one's going to know what matches ahead of time other than the wrestlers themselves.
Yeah. So
we got treated to the second half of the show had two of, could argue they're up there with the matches of the weekend. The first being Shigehiro Irie against Scotty Davis, which was an absolute hoot for a Inner Circle card.
I mean, obviously you said mystery card. Jen, who does photos for website, massive fan of Irie, and as soon as she saw him pop out through the entranceway, I think he might just be able to hear it on VOD, but it's been too long since Irie's been over in Europe. And him against Scotty Davis, it was the obvious size difference, but it wasn't just Irie, punching Scotty all over the place. Scotty more than held his own. But I think it's right towards the end, one of the last moves he did, the cannonball. Shows you how long it's been since I've seen Irie live. I forgot how murderous that bloody cannonball could be. Just squish him into the turnbuckle and then come out with just as much force.
It was brutal. I had Andre Cartier in my ear just before as soon as this match got announced. He says Irie's going to turn him into Scotty Pancake, and then as soon as he hit that spot, he just screamed at me, "Scotty Pancake, Scotty Pancake." It's Irie has been one of those guys, and it's been nearly over a year since I'd seen him wrestle in Europe. It was 16 Carat last year, I think, was the last time I'd seen him, apart from maybe one or two shows. And I forgot how goddamn good he is. He's someone who really upped his game when he came over here, and he had another very, very good match we'll touch on later.
Yeah. So again, finish off in a circle of the main event. Chris Ridgway, Daniel Makabe against Daisuke Ikeda, Yuki Ishikawa. We've been to Inner Circles before where they've had technical matches. I think was one at Tag Festival last year, Makabe and Alexander James, which fantastic match-based stuff, but it just didn't capture the crowd because if you haven't seen the Inner Circle shows, you're talking 150, 170 people, they say, and if your entire style is mat-based, one of those who are ringside get to see it, and everyone else is kind of ducking through between shoulders to see. But this one I thought the crowd was more than up for. Factory had Ikeda and Ishikawa on a team, Ridgway and Makabe on the other side. This was absolutely fantastic. And it wasn't just ground-based grapple. You had Ridgway just seemingly swinging like he was punching for a home run, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's got to be two words that ring out within this match that I'll never forget. Is Yuki Ishikawa on the apron telling Daisuke Ikeda to kick him. Kick him. With an absolute look of glee on his face. Yuki Ishikawa, this is his second WXW weekender, and it's Daisuke Ikeda's first as well. And they were more than up for it this weekend. Guys at their age could just absolutely coast it in on their past successes, but they decided that they were going to have fun this weekend, and this match just delivered. I know I was talking to Alan Cheapshot about this, and he felt this was it was a lesson in wrestling watching this up close at ringside. It's definitely a match that you couldn't put on a big show. It's suited for Inner Circle, and I'm glad the tradition of having these kind of shoot style, not ambition rules but close to it, are continuing on Inner Circle, because they're an absolute treat and a reason you should head out that extra day early to Germany and head to Essen to experience this, because there's special moments that happen at Inner Circle that you won't happen for the rest of the weekend.
And again, it's not really non-canon, but a lot of Inner Circle stuff is, some of the stuff maybe just playing to Carat, but it is meant for as like a homage to WXW old, the old West Side Dojo, now the Academy. You've got that intimate feel that you used to have with Carats of years gone by. It obviously now you absolutely can't get, especially not when you're in 1,600 fans of a Turbine Hall, and that's where we were the next day. I guess we'll start night one, again, not going match by match. So sorry Matthew, sorry Strigger, your brief little squash we're not going to be talking that much about, but yeah, 3 years in a row. I mean, are they going to be going? Will there be wrestling around in a year's time?
I hope so. As far as I'm aware, WXW are going for their third year in Turbine Hall 1 after this weekend. Just something to mention, and I'm going to mention it now. The job Dennis and the team did in the setup for 16 Carat this year was incredible. There's very few promotions in the world that match WXW under production. And it was just phenomenal. And it's one of those moments I look forward to every single WXW weekender, is walking into that venue and seeing what they've done with the place. And they listened to the fans this year. They had more tiered standing areas, and for the first time ever with their brand new camera equipment, they had a live feed. So in the arena, in the top right hand corner of the arena, they had a massive screen, so fans who were on the pit areas of either side of the ramp usually are the ones who can't see onto the ring. Great. It was a problem we had last year, but they'd managed to rectify it by having the screen up, so you have live footage of the guys guys with cameras at ringside shooting the match, so you can see what's going on. And yeah, just the whole place, it looked so professional as usual, and that's Carat feeling. They always they manage to outdo themselves every year. I don't think I've ever been disappointed with walking into a WXW weekender and thinking, oh, this is all right. It's like usually, oh wow.
Yeah. I know I managed to catch Dennis, I think was before the final night. So obviously, for press stuff, in Turbine Hall 1, we get one small little balcony, which, it's different to Turbine Hall 2, but, it gives a balcony, and if you've got a pass, you can go wherever on the floor in the press area. But, yeah, Dennis came over, had a quick chat from on the Sunday before the show. I think what said to him, I'm not lying when I say this, the production values of Carat beats pretty much any other independent show I've seen. I know Progress have a video screen. I think it took them 3 or 4 Super Strong Styles at Alexander Palace to do, even just for hard cam on a video screen. This was the live edit on the video screen. The fact that, from where we were sitting, there's some stuff where, lots of brawling in the crowd, dives, etc., were maybe out of our line of sight. Video screen, very clear as day, you weren't having the risk of, the old head shrinker stuff, and Superstars back in the day, the camera on the screen kind of thing. In that, yeah, you had more standing areas, more raised standing areas. I think the only downside, I think this was again on the final night, or maybe the Saturday, I saw a few complaints on the stage lights. Could have been toned down a bit, but I don't know if they did do that, but I definitely saw 1 or 2 tweets of people complaining, the stage lights were really shining towards the back of the room, which unfortunately since that's where I think a lot of the Irish was standing over the weekend.
Yeah, there was a little corner that a good proportion of the Irish congregated in, along with Daniel McCabe, that congregated by the entrance to the toilets, but the lights from the stage were directly beamed onto them, so the red and yellow washes from those weren't very well received. But I think for night three, they toned them down or angled them a little bit different, so they weren't. You could at least see the ring and see what was going on, as opposed to trying to squint through bright LED lights.
Yeah. So again, just a quick look through the Sunday show, the Friday show. Even getting ahead of myself. Guess just pick off some of the main matches. Opening Mike Bailey and Chris Ridgway. For Christ, what a way to start the weekend off.
I think this was probably the best opener to 16 Carat for Carat to being at live, of setting a tone for the weekend, and just the guys kicked the shit out of each other. It was great. I like, in terms of notes for this match, is they both beat the crap out of each other. Speedball's been an MVP in Europe and European promotions for years now, and he can go with anyone. And Chris Ridgway, since his run in Noah, he's been in phenomenal shape and form. That time in Japan has done him the world of good.
Yeah,
this is kind of his first. This is a little bit kind of his coming out party in Germany, at least, and showing that the difference from him in a few months since the Ambition Wildcard tournament. So yeah, Ridgway's phenomenal here, and so Speedball. It was just a great match, and such a fast, great opener to 16 Carat instead of what could be usually a little bit of a slow, plodding big man match. They decided to go, no, we're just going to go fast and hard with kicks.
Yeah, we're going back to big man match, a bit later in the night. Black Taurus, Shikahiro Irie. I think my review just started. This is very much my graps. Two big lads. You're not doing the plodding 80s style. They went hell for leather. And yeah, when this one came out, I was kind of sad that they paired him up so early. But in hindsight, I'm glad we got this on night one. Irie going through. But yeah, Bug Me was just one of those matches where I think it was the chant during the match. If you all love beef, clap your hands. I think even the vegans were cheering for that.
Yeah, this is big beefy guys going at it, and it was a perfect big man's match. Like, just what you'd if you think of having two guys who are 200-pound plus, absolute units, facing off with each other, immediately starting a match with shoulder blocks. It's just like, okay, this is the direction they're going. These guys are just going to absolutely beat the crap out of each other, and it's going to be amazing entertainment. I think Irie's chant of usually beast mode became beef mode for this match amongst the section I was in with the two Ogden boys. So yeah, phenomenal match, and I think one of the standout matches of night one.
I guess I think just before that we had Julian Pace and Bandido. Pace had a few, I don't want to say a few missteps, but there's definitely a section of the crowd that weren't on his side this weekend. I think it was more than a smashing of boos across the whole show for him. But I think Julian Pace, if there were any question marks around him going into the tournament, all gone here. Okay, he went out in the first round, but I think he more than raised this game against Bandido. And Bandido, I say, one of the MVPs for the weekend. But yeah, Julian Pace, can't go unsaid just how rock solid he was this weekend.
There was a genuine fear with someone like Julian Pace going against Bandido. You're like, okay, Pace is going to get lost here, and he's going to be carried by Bandido to a good match. And Pace, we've known Pace has been a prospect in WXW for 2-3 years now. He's had flashes of what he can do, but he hasn't had these moments or match that you're like, okay, that's why he's here. That's why he's being, put at this level. And Pace had that match against Bandito. And it wasn't that just, Bandito brought him to that level. Pace decided to match him. And it was the best Julian Pace match I've ever seen. He delivered in spades here. And as you said, Bandito was an MVP of the weekend. But they took absolutely nothing away from Pace's performance this weekend. And he had a few other flashes of greatness as well on the third night as well.
So I guess elsewhere, just skip through results first night. Lucky Kid lost in first round to Jørn Simmons. We'll touch upon him a lot later in the weekend. Rotation against Puma King. Pretty decent match, but they started a storyline with him and Russ Taylor, which I thought was going to play out over the weekend. It kind of petered out after night one, which is a bit of a weird one. Alexander James, Jeff Cobb. Of course, Jeff Cobb, the late replacement for Leo Rush, who... Yeah, I think he dropped out when me and Mike were recording the preview podcast of this, which... No, sorry, either way, he dropped out after we did the podcast, that's right. It was Alex Shelley dropped out as we recorded. Decent match, but again, I think Alexander James started the storyline here with Killer Kelly, which... Yeah, we could talk more about that to go on. Karen Maris Alani, for me, I thought that was okay. Again, we'll see a lot more of Karen over the weekend, but the night one main event, JAA winning the tag titles from the Pretty Bastards, and I think there's a few people kind of take it as the Pretty Bastards being almost like an experiment that didn't quite work, but I think what you got to remember is these guys, both Ahura and Maggot, very raw, very inexperienced, so I don't know if the storyline plans were before the Cursed Tag Team Festival weekend, but they won the tag titles then. Now, dare say that this was maybe that first title run, which maybe give them a taste for what's to come in the future. Yeah,
I think to say the Pretty Bastards' first title run is like a bit of a failure or anything like that's a bit unfair on them, considering their story in WXW was not being booked on shows for about a year. And then finally, down at Tag Fest, due to the circumstance of that cursed weekend, they won the tournament and they set up an angle with their stable of with Ollie Carter, Norman Harris, and Bobby Guns. And I think the great thing about this match as well is they kept it clean from interference with those guys. That they said, anyone who interferes will be, suspended from promotion for 6 months, and making it feel like it's going to be a straight wrestling match. And Pretty Bastards have impressed me. They've had some pretty decent matches in WXW. Again, as you said, they're still very raw. The parts are there and they're still being put together, but I feel they're getting to a point now where they're starting to get comfortable with their characters, and they're being given stuff to sink their teeth into. But I think the tag title run might have been just too early. If it was maybe a year later, I think it probably would have been a bit more better timing. But a good match. Absolute Andy in this run. After his title run in 2018, I thought Andy was just going to start, phasing out his stuff in wrestling. I thought that was going to be his last hurrah. But this run he's had is, this being the absolute dad, has been incredible. And considering the JA team is makeshift because of Francis Caspin's injury, him and Jay Skilla have turned, chicken shit into chicken salad. It's been incredible how much they're loved by the fans, and they're just delivering so much, and they're adding so much to the product at this point. And we'll talk about it for night two, but Andy and Jay have been just so good, and it was delighted to see the titles actually being put back onto them.
And again, no, see night two, they did quite a bit, but just blow through Ambition. The Shield style tournament. I think for me, two matches really leapt off the page here. Both the super fights. Started Ethan Allen and Luke Jacobs. I think the story of those two, they were booked on Tetsujin last year over in Liverpool. Tassel Young was refereeing that match, and I think he said within seconds of the main event of the match finishing, he he was on the phone to Felix Kohlenberg, said, we need these guys. So the match got booked. He refereed again, and for those who don't know, Ethan Allen and Luke Jacobs, teams of young guns in England. They are 18, 19-year-old each, I'd say. And they, pretty much brothers to each other. And my God, you've got the adage of, family members or brothers when they wrestle each other hit a little bit harder. Fucking hell, they hit hard. I mean, throughout they were knocking lumps out of each other. Ethan Allen dominated from the start, but both these guys, they left everything out there. And you think you went from only the Brits, the Irish, and the Ogdens, knowing who they were, to getting a really good ovation from the 500 plus who were there for ambition. That's going to be a big win for both those lads.
Yeah, the definition of taking a ball and running with it. It was my first time. I hadn't seen a Ted Nugent fight, and I was blown away. I had seen the Young Guns wrestle. I'd seen them wrestle at OTT against More Than Hype and True Pros. So I had seen, the talent was there, but seeing them in this style and just absolutely laid into each other. And this little story that they've been telling in the match as well, with Ethan Allen, was just phenomenal. It's one of the reasons why ambitions can't miss. Is you get these gems of fights in that shoot style that just take your breath away. Of like, this is why I love wrestling. Phenomenal match, up there with one of the ones of the weekend. But I think that the other super fight just decided. I think the Young Guns lit a fire under the old guns in that second super fight.
Yeah, so we talk about, obviously, Ishikawa and Nakeda tag teaming in a circle. This was a sight to behold, man. I mean, I think Jen, doing the photos for the weekend next to us, was saying about how it's like your cheeky granddads having a fight. You had the odd cheap shot, a lot of headbutts, to the point where I think the feud was almost uncomfortable, just how often, how heavy they were clonking each other in the head. But these guys, they could have easily coasted through and gone, a wrist lock here, a hammer lock here, we'll do a hold. Fuck, they went all out for this. I mean, at one point I could have sworn that I think Cicada drew blood at one point. Pound was just a really red bruise. But my God, these two, I think Jen called Ishikawa like an elderly statesman coming out and overlord the manner of his robe kind of thing. It's like, pulling the curtain back a bit, Tim Thatcher had flown himself in just to see this match, and that's kind of how his farewell on night 3 came. He was watching from, so anyone of Turbine hovers the bit where there's a bit where the wrestlers go, so kind of like in Japan, you've got like the winners go up the stage, the losers go through the back entrance, I guess. And the security there, like guardrails, so fans can't go through there. Thatcher was watching the entire match from that, leaning on that guardrail. He was losing his mind through that. Like, not screaming going on, but you could tell he was like a pig in muck almost.
Yeah, and you can understand why. This match was one of the matches of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
I think I went 4.75 and grappled with it.
Oh, wow.
It's 4 3/4 match. I had the 5-star fear. This is definitely my graps. Like, this was just violent, and not violent in terms of weapons, but just these beating the crap out of each other. There was points I gasped at the running headbutt that Daisuke Keita hit Yuki Ishikawa with. Yuki Ishikawa looks like this frail old man, because he is a frail old man. And Daisuke Keita just ran at him with a running headbutt. And just knocked him down. And then Keita turns around and's got this absolute egg growing on his forehead that's swollen and red. That these guys, their legendary matches they've had in the past, I think they realize it's probably their last match they're going to have, and just decided to put everything out there and have one of those matches that just blew things away.
I mean, I think you're looking at Ikeda, just looking on Cage Match. Ikeda's 52, Ishikawa's 53, so elder statesman, that's putting it lightly. I mean, yeah, I need to watch this one back when it hits VOD. I think it's hitting VOD on, I want to say Tuesday. I know DirecTV's been very prompt. They've actually had a schedule this year. They've kept it. There's been no, oops, sorry, our system's gone down, giving them a few days. Ambition 12 is coming out on Tuesday, so that'll be out. And I don't think there's any commentary on these either, so we're not going to have the issues you normally have with first release where Germans come and English is followed pretty soon after. But yeah, this one I want to go back and watch. I gave it 4 live, and I think a lot of it might have been the whole, oh God, those headbutts, taking me out of it a little bit. But yeah, to me, this is a match I hold my hands up. I knew the names. I hadn't seen much of their work going in. Completely blew me away. And I think those are the kind of matches when you don't know people's backgrounds. I think those were nice, pleasant surprises which weekends like this tend to throw up.
Yeah, it's and that's I think the beauty of Ambition as well, is that you do get the XW taking chances on guys for Ambition that you wouldn't see otherwise. Guys like Daniel McCabe was originally brought in for Ambition and then the wild card last year and got knocked out in the final, or sorry, semi-final.
No, it was final.
Was it final? Yeah, he was final against
the Spanish Fly final. Yeah,
I'm getting confused between the semi-final that he had for this year's Ambition, and you get to see guys do what they do best in that shoot style, and it's been such a unique selling point of WXW, but they realize that it's a niche of a niche. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but anyone who does go to Ambition, it's worth experiencing once and experiencing live if you ever go to these festival weekends, just to experience what it's like and to feel and hear those chops, those punches, to hear the grunts from the grappling is just incredible to watch, and it's something you want to be close up to and watching. You want to be standing next to the ring for to watch. I think it's easily one of the best Ambitions of the recent festival weekends, because even the actual Ambition tournament itself delivered some excellent matches. Makabe had a stormer, and got his proverbial nod from WXW with winning Ambition 12. Really milked the Irish support in the.
I was going to say the cheap pop in the final.
Yeah, well, shout out to Daniel McCabe, superfan Jamesy, who really turned most of the Irish onto Daniel McCabe years ago when he was the only one singing his praises about this guy from Canada who's wrestling these incredible matches in 3-1 battles. So, McCabe with that little something odd, and sadly didn't get to see him this weekend, but. Yeah, he had this a great little moment with winning Ambition 12. And it was nice that the final was between him and Ridgeway, considering they had the teaming at Inner Circle with each other against Ikeda and Ishikawa.
And again, like that Inner Circle match, completely hard-hitting, they swung for proverbial fences. And it's nice to see Makabe getting a pop for a football shirt for a change. I know Ambition last year, my bad. Obviously, the Chelsea shirt on night one, he got booed out of the building for. So, yeah, stick to the national shirts. A nice, safe, neutralish ground anyway. But move on. Next show, again, just quickly touch on this, the WXW Now Showcase, replacing the ill-fated Wrestling Deutschland. They had feature matches from, I think, 7 promotions. This one, I'll admit I need to watch back because I think it's the second of 3 shows, and at this point I was kind of out my feet already. But one match that really jumped off the page, Joe Gacy, Anthony Green, I went 3.5 live. It's the one I want to rewatch because I think Arn Fuse went nearly 4 and a bit on. I think this, I said it wasn't as bad as Wrestling Deutschland. You had a very cold crowd because a lot of the names on here were fairly new outside of CZW, and I should mention it now. DJ Hyde was there mentioning their show in Germany later in November. You got the date and the town wrong, but they're running somewhere in Germany, hopefully later this year. But it's it's a nice palate cleanser, I guess you'd call it. Had Rising Sun out of Italy, Smash out of Canada, Body Slam out of Denmark, CZW obviously, British Empire Wrestling out of England, White Wolf of Spain, and Wrestling Kult. So anyone who did Mike Kilby's Wild Ride, you had 2 matches for Carnage within hours of each other, which I don't know what is in your, against the RDA, but I think a lot more Carnage than most people need.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the Carnage Rico Machida match from Wrestling Cult. It doesn't deserve the time of day. I will say though, and for as much as I will say one thing, just touch on Cult really briefly, that the stand-up match of that there's 2 stand-up matches from Cult that would I'd say consider good. Was Mexberg against Mike D and Tristan Archer in a 3-way, a big man 3-way. And Mexberg was actually quite impressive in it. Bit of a weird gimmick in terms of coming out with the really cheap looking pound shop mask, but he's able to move for a big guy, and Mike D from Belgium was a revelation of how good he is for someone who's complete unknown. But yeah, too much carnage in one weekend. The German fans love him. Whatever it is, he's over and he's over with the Oberhausen crowd. But that CZW match, if someone said that people be actively chanting for CZW and not in an ironic way, at 16 Carat, they probably says, you're pulling our leg. But yeah, Joe Gacy and Andy Green went out there, and this is the style of match that should be on Showcase. You bring 2 established guys over and you put on, this is why you should watch CZW. And I think they were the only ones that really got the MO. I think them and Rising Sun were the 2 promotions that got the MO of why you should watch their promotion. And Smash as well, considering Smash sent their pillars,
top units,
their top unit over. So 3 promotions really got the message of you need to impress. And in those 3 matches they impressed, and Joe Gacy and Andy Green was phenomenal for a mid-afternoon Saturday show that had a crowd really sitting on their hands after a woeful match beforehand.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about too much because I know, you're saying for negative, I don't my Twitter's blowing up, but when I saw the match on paper and I saw British Empire Wrestling, Kat Von Cage, like Zavallo, it was like Von Cage is the BEW Women's Champion, Lex is the Shooting Star Champion. I think that's a secondary belt in that promotion. I just remember sitting there when Kat came out of her belt, and I'm thinking, you're the world champion, at least for women's division. A, why is your belt not on the line? B, why are you so interested in the secondary belt? It's like, as a match thrown out cold, this just felt like, hey, let's do champion v champion for the hell of it. Like, nothing against Kat or Lexa, but to me it just felt like, if you're just sitting there going, here's 2 names that you probably have not heard of, Lexa being German, got the babyface pop from the crowd, which I don't think is what we're going for. I think Kat's maybe the babyface from a little BW I've seen. But yeah, this one I didn't have high hopes for just because of that whole background. Again, I think we said, if you look at the lineup here, all these promotions are on WXW now. I think it's just CZW are having their current product on WXW now pretty quickly. I mean, looking on the release schedule, I think they dropped their 21st anniversary show about 2 weeks ago on the service. I think actually tomorrow they have another show dropping tomorrow, one of the pay-per-views. So I think out the whole lot, CZW, definitely Rising Sun, definitely Smash, and maybe Body Slam, I'd say, came out of this with, maybe people coming out going, I want to follow them more. But there's one line I think Alan Cheapshot gave after the show. Everyone has the same styles. Like, this is meant to be a showcase of your promotion, and very few people came out with anything that stood out. You had a good match, but everyone seemed to be working the same style. You had your dives. I mean, going back to that BEW match, Von Cage and Marlowe did dives very early on. It's like, okay, I guess it's a title match, but why? Like, when I think this is the 3rd, 4th match from the show, and again, I'm just scrolling through my report quickly. Okay, I think, yeah, did Carnage do a dive early on? Again, the fact that, match 3 and you're doing dives in the old Chris Brooksing chair spots on a random throwaway show like this, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's a little bit of I think a little bit of the hangover of Wrestling Deutschland, where instead of someone booking the card and going through it beforehand, you're getting each promoter to book their match, and they're putting out what they feel is their best match, and instead of the communication as, oh, we're having dives in this spot, or we're doing a chair spot, or things did feel very samey, and especially for promotions such as like White Wolf and Body Slam, which I had much more higher hopes for. Like, I wasn't disappointed, but a little bit of a little bit wasn't what I was expecting, because they were so very similar. But as you said, it was a great palate cleanser after Ambition to set you up for night 2. If you are though to check out 3 matches, there is the CCW match, the Rising Sun match, and then the 4-way match from Smash are definitely worth your while to go check out.
And again, that drops on to Wrestling now on Tuesday night. Blast through night 2 of Carat for most part. Guess first really big match. Sorry, we'll go straight to it, because we're all talking about the one match everyone came out of night 2 talking about. The JAA Wildcard Tag Team Expert and Gauntlet.
If you had told me I would be watching DJ Hyde wrestle in 2020, and not only wrestle, but be pretty much jobbed out to put over Lavanuel, I would have thought that you were booking something on TEW. It's just such a pretty much a TEW match. This wildcard gauntlet. It was such a break of pace for the show, and just worked so well. I do want to watch this back, because I do want to hear Absolute Andy on English commentary for this.
I haven't heard the commentary, but I have seen the promo subtitled. So my German, I guess yours as well, not exactly the best. GCSE / A-level German, conversational at best, when you're talking 16 years later. But so bulk of it was, basically, we need to make the show, the division fresh again. Andy's created an app, and he's going to shuffle the WXW roster, and it's creating only tag teams that have never paired in WXW together. They've gone, he's bought a paint program back up, the biggest cheer of the night. Seriously, there were a holy shit chance for Absolute Andy saying he bought a paint program. That tells you how easy this crowd was at this point in the show. And they'd done the Birkendal, which overnight they designed this, this logo and the graphics for the screen. And I'm not joking. I want this to be an annual thing. At the very least, put it on a goddamn t-shirt. But yeah, this was, like, I guess, what's the term in Chikawa? Parejas Incredibles. I'm doing a Will Cooling for pronunciation butchering here, but Parejas Incredible, that's it. Can just go through the different teams. Julian Pace and Puma King against Lucky Kid and Leon Van Gasteren. Well, there's the Vol Gasteren split that I guess we were getting. Not a blow-off, but just on opposite sides of the fence. King and Pace won, so they took on Avalanche and Black Taurus. Didn't last long. So then Avalanche, Black Taurus live against Tariq and Norman Harris, which, one of the Smash guys stayed on, and that led to a match on the feature event for next night. And the only thing I've got here is, this may not go well for Norbert, and I guess Oberhausen, not big fans for Norman Harris.
No, he's someone who he's been bubbling under. He's in very much his Julian Pace role that Julian Pace was in 2018. He's being blooded in, and he is a prospect for them, and he's got a great look. But just this that you mentioned, that team there of Avalanche and Black Taurus, I never knew I wanted that as a tag team. I want that to be continued as a tag team around the world, of these two big guys just absolutely bullying people, including DJ Hyde.
Rue's the next one. Random teams had DJ Hideout first, and then Lavaniel following up behind him. And the look on DJ's face when Lavaniel came out, I mean, the promo was all in German, so I'm guessing he'd been told, just react like this, it'll play well. And, Deej went in the ring, Lavaniel's just walking around, doing his, I'm guessing a promo about, Liebe and all this. I think it's about having, his granddad was a deathmatch wrestler or something like that.
Yeah, his granddad was a deathmatch wrestler. He eats bowls of nails in the morning without milk. So he pretty much went in that he was the most extreme wrestler ever. To impress DJ Hyde, and then it's Delvine was just about to get into the ring. DJ Hyde's pinned for the 3 count, with Tommy Geeson having to tell Lavaniel that no, you actually missed your match, you're out.
An easy night's work. Walk down the ring, do a lap, and walk to the back. And then the final thing after that, and also his theme after that, Chris Ridgway, Scotty Davis. I think this one was kept a bit short. It was just a lot of kicks. And then the final was Chris Ridgway and Scotty Davis against, I think a lot of people saw this coming when they had the qualifier of never tagged before in WXW. The Young Guns were final boss, and they won the gauntlet, and then a tag title shot for next afternoon on the Wheel of Wrestling. But like I said, a fantastic change of pace, and I want them to keep doing this every year. Maybe not with Andy and Jay Skillett, but something like this just to get some kind of interest. And use all the guys who've been knocked out night one, and some of the Ambition guys who stick around. Yeah,
it's like in Carat's past, you had your multi-mans, your 6-man tags, your just your elimination matches, your 4-ways. This was a much better use of the guys, and then something where it builds up anticipation. Like everyone's like, oh, who are they going to team up next? So it was great. It was a great match to really separate the 2 parts of this card. But there was another match, I think, on this night that was very, very, very good.
And all due respect, I don't think it's Alexander James and Alpha Kevin. Of course, it's the quarterfinal. Speedball Mike Bailey and Bandido, the match that makes us redefine our rating scales by balls of coins. I mean, my God, and I went full 5 in this. Maybe the few doubts I had just completely overwhelmed by live bias and the finish, but I would have to say that was maybe one of, if not the best match I've seen live. Just a slow start, it bubbled up. I think the point where it really turned on for me, a handspring into a poison run. I mean, what the hell, Speedball?
I was amazed. The finishing stretch of this match, I had my mouth wide open and was jumping around because it was just so good. And having wrestling match, I was a little bit feeling lethargic on this night, being at wrestling show since 10 a.m. that morning, and it started to hit me. This match just got me absolutely pumped again, and a phenomenal match. I wouldn't say it's one of the best matches I've seen live. I've been lucky to see some amazing matches live and in person, but it's up there. I think what it was set it over the edge as well for a lot of people was the fans' reaction to this. And, you don't see in Europe anyway, because we don't have, or pound or euro or coins, not notes. So you don't see this tradition and the tradition of throwing in money to the ring. But there was coins and bonds and notes being rained upon Speedball and Bandido after this match. So much of the fact where, Tommy Geeson had said to, throw notes.
That was just for him, let's be honest.
Yeah. Having 2 full bowls of money after this match. And as well, the touching moment as well of Bandido superfan Chris Lawson getting brought into the ring. He was ringside for this match, and Bandido being his favorite wrestler, getting brought into the ring and being carried on both guys' shoulders as well, and getting a massive pop from the traveling fans who knew him was such a great little touch. There was a lot of things in this match that, even if it was a standard match, would have pushed it up, but the match itself, if you don't have the XW now, this is the match you go subscribe for the
Yeah,
month, €9.99, and buy it for this match. It's worth that and more.
just don't throw coins to your monitor afterwards. We're not responsible for any damage caused. But yeah, that final bit with the Euro notes for coins pelting the ring, with Chris getting paraded around, that's the kind of stuff that makes me love wrestling. You can watch a match by yourself and go, yes, that was fantastic, that was great. And then when you see 1,600 other people doing exactly the same, it's that kind of shit that just unites you as a wrestling fan, especially with everything that's going on since. We needed that kind of almost catharsis before the storm. But yeah, I would say this one, if you only watch one match from the whole weekend, I think you'd be daft if you sign up for WXW now just for this, but if you're only going to do that, make it this match, because this one absolutely leaps off the page, and this is going to be pretty high up on those match of the year sheets, especially New Japan's had a month off, and how long everyone else is going to get, but this is going to be one of those that's going to be very high up on those sheets if it gets the eyeballs on it.
Yeah, and I think it was that kind of feel good moment that the show needed, considering the little bit of a deflated atmosphere that proceeded with the main event of night 2.
And yeah, touching on that, title of Korea, David Starr, Bobby Guns, I think it was Benno just before the main event came up to me and said, I think Starr's losing this. Well, why is that? He's not been, compared to his other big matches, hardly anything for this until like 2-3 days before. This one went, I think it was 41 minutes. It nearly went into that, I think it's Joe Lemon made the phrase, forced epic, nearly went into that kind of territory. But I thought this was a really good match. I haven't seen this again on VOD. I know James, he's been really positive about it in terms of the 40 minutes it flew by. I think it's a match that, in terms of the storyline build, maybe wasn't quite there. Star leaving during WrestleMania weekend last year and then coming back kind of muddied things up a bit. But it's a farewell match. Star certainly did not phone it in. He pretty much did. I think the first 5-10 minutes he did a tope into the front row, breaking a chair. Which, yeah, those kind of dives, if you're going to do them, have them leave a mark like that, I guess. I think this one where, for me, it could have been a little bit shorter. Not that the match was, went overly long. It didn't have the, Sonata Jay White stuff that, people are fearing, where it just went long and, lost the crowd. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think, the way the match had been built, the fact that, they had any run-ins from any of Bobby Guns' lot and they're banned for 6 months and, Star wins the belt automatically. I think in hindsight that, and of course James's interview with David in December about WXW don't care if I beat Walter here first, these were all red flags we kind of missed. But yeah, the one thing for me was a takeaway, that 3 count after the Emerald Fusion at the end, just the sheer silence of that Turbine Hall. Never before have I heard that many fans so quiet.
The only thing I can equate it to in terms of air leaving the room is when Walter beat Devlin at WrestleRama in 2018, of that stunned silence, of that kind of you're bracing yourself for it to happen, but then it actually happens. I was a little bit down on this match going in, knowing I'd convinced myself it was Starr's last match, considering he'd started to wrap things up with WWE heavy affiliate promotions, including Progress, where he kind of left on not so great terms in terms of how he was booked. But WXW has been his pretty much his home in Europe. It was the promotion that brought him in initially. He's been a stalwart of their roster for more than 3 years, and it did venture a little bit to that forced epic. I think it could have had 10 minutes easily shaved off it. The near falls did bring me back into it, but there's a little bit. I think Bobby was a little bit exposed here. David Starr had phenomenal matches with wrestlers across Europe. And if you're feeling like you're being playing second fiddle to him, and you're supposed to be the champion, it wasn't a ringing endorsement of Bobby Guns as champion. I think he's reached kind of that level he's at is not. He needs someone like, think of Bobby's peak of his matches. He had that match with Ilya, he had the match with Speedball in 2018. But I don't know, something wasn't clicking with me with Bobby on that match. But it's not a bad match in any shape or form. It's a great match, but just for my expectations of both men would just fell a little bit short, and then the atmosphere after it just kind of was a little bit down. But Stark cut a phenomenal open-hearted speech at the end, very visibly upset over how things were panning out, and he's going to be missed in Germany.
I guess, we've had all the stuff come out. He did a post-match promo which didn't make for live VOD, whereas Chris Lawson did, so that's a bit of a balance for you. But I know we have released the promo separately on YouTube, but I know Taz from the press conference on the next day said that he was asked to, he'll have a mic, but it's up to him to do an in-character, within the realm of the WXW storylines promo, or what he ended up doing. And that's kind of why I got edged off of VOD, I guess. But the fact that Star done with Progress, done with WXW, I know there's I guess narratives and rumours going around as to why that is, whether it was WWE who made the call or not. The only people who know aren't going to say, WXW said they're not going to say out of respect for Star. Star's, saying that he's not going to go into full, the blood and guts because it's not his place to say. They're the only two parts who really know what the real deal is here. For me, David Starr going, it's another big name gone from the WXW roster, and I don't want to say they're going to suffer because, let's be realistic, they had a dry run of this a year ago when he quit after WrestleMania weekend. But it is a big name, a big piece of the puzzle they're not going to have to play with anymore. I think it is not going to be that gaping hole in the cards. I mean, with David Starr, I would say he's kind of the same thing with Timothy Thatcher. Short of giving the belt, what more can you do with him?
Yeah, in terms of character, there was nothing David Starr could do other than the Walter match, and to be perfectly honest, I think OTT have done more to build that match up than WXW have in the last year or so. So, that match being also under exclusivity, with the WXW exclusivity on that match kind of being thrown out as well, was fairly obvious that there was a little bit of a tinge in a relationship between WXW and David Starr. But the ringing point is, and in his aftermatch promo, was this is a mutual decision that both parties didn't want to make. So whatever it was something that they both agreed had to happen. There's this talk of Starr doesn't want to be on promotions that are going to be on the WWE network for his own reasons. I don't think WWE strong-armed him in this sense. I think it was down to WXW. But it did kind of set the wheels in motion to certain things in Night 3 that started to really make things glaringly obvious with the direction WXW are going in for the remainder of 2020 and beyond.
Yeah. I guess, touch on the Sunday afternoon show before we get there. Wheel of Wrestling, I think we're doing a few shows. Obviously, the cancellations and rescheduling we're having to do is putting paid a lot of that. But this one's dropping on the 19th, so that's next, as we drop this next Thursday. Open 4-way, pretty decent 4-way. Daniel McAbey, Russ Taylor, Anthony Green, Scotty Davis. Scotty's only win of the weekend, but very enjoyable 4-way. Norman Horace, Pretty Bastards, and Oliver Carter against the Smash Pillars. Just keep going. Marisol Arni, Chris Ridgway. It's actually a women's tag match, which I think's first real input we had of, quote, WWE talent. Obviously, Oliver Carter in the early match. Stephanie Mays, Killer Kelly against Baby Allison and Valkyrie. That was pretty decent, bearing in mind the experience levels we had there. A lot's been made of Killer Kelly. At this point, you have to say, done with WWE, regardless of what some people don't want you to say. The fact she's in Rev Pro, I think, is the biggest tell. And if you're thinking, Rev Pro's got to deal with WWE, maybe Johnny Dots, but no, that's not really that important in the big scheme of things. But that was a pretty decent little tag. Joe Gacy, Alexander James, again, decent match. Young Guns against JAA, I thought it was a really good tag match. My only problem with it, I guess you'd say, is I thought the Young Guns kind of got a bit overwhelmed by the JAA comedy. Don't know what you thought about that, Gary.
Yeah, I think they suffered a little bit, but you have to take into consideration who they're in the ring with the veterans in Skillet and Andy, and in terms of how established their characters are. And the Young Guns are only 18 and 19. And they're not at that level yet. In ring, they're starting they could hang with them. But from a character point of view, they got easily lost. No sense of word, a bad match. It was a really good match and a really good showcase for the Young Guns. It was fairly obvious how this match was going to go. I don't think the WXW were going to hotshot the tag titles onto the Young Guns straight away. They've done enough though to earn repeat booking with WXW, and hopefully at some point towards the middle or end of the year that they earn a tour with them, because it'd be great development for them. But a fun match. Just touching on the women's tag team match, I think Valkyrie looked really, really good in that tag match. You get certain wrestlers who regress a little bit when they go into the NXT UK system, but Valkyrie's come on quite a considerable bit. She's starting to get very, very polished, and she's easily the best of the four women in the match. So surprised to see her, and really good to see that she is starting to perform at a really good level. But I think there's only one other standing match on this Wheel of Wrestling card that got everyone's attention when it got announced.
Yeah, Walton Shikahiro Irie. So last time we saw Irie this weekend, and I would say that this might be a bit controversial. This was far too one-sided for me. I thought it was going to be. I know they had that match in progress. Was it last year? But it was pretty much balls to the wall. But for me, this felt a lot more like, I don't say glorified squash for Walter, but you look at, if you want the statistic nerds who look at, strikes thrown, takedown, submission attempts, blah, blah. This is very one-sided in Walter's direction. It
was, but the thing that I took away from this match more than anything else was it was not a WWE Walter match. This was a WXW Walter match. This was Walter just wrestling his style that he always wrestled in this promotion, and it was refreshing to see. It wasn't as if Walter decided he was just going to work a TV style match on pretty much what is pretty much a taping show. Walter just delivered a Walter match, and I really enjoyed this. I think Irie could have got a little bit more offense, but for what it was, considering Walter's going to be still in and out of the promotion for the remainder of the year, they had to kind of keep Walter strong, unfortunately for Irie, and he was going to be the victim.
Yep, and again, this drops on WXW now on Thursday, so if you're signing for Bandido and Bailey, keep a subscription active and give us a go. Last night of Carat, of course, and Christ, about this time last week we were on the way to the Central afterwards. Opening match, Jørn Simmons, Mike Bailey. Thought it was a really good match to get the show going with. I know Jørn, night one was a bit for squash, night two was a bit for flat crowd after Bandido and Bailey. I think this is probably Jørn's best performance for the weekend, but Bailey, for me, MVP the entire 3 nights of Carat. And I think, this really good match. My back was busted. I had Jørn winning the whole tournament, but for Speedball, more than held his own here.
Yeah, I think Urine was the going by for anyone who's not really aware of 16 carat, most people are, but the WXW tend to load the finals and semi-finals of 16 carat with a lot of their homegrown roster. Now, compared to 2019, a lot of their roster is being signed and were in Enfield in Coventry that weekend for tapings, but um, yeah, it stood out that Urine was the only WXW guy that was in the semi-finals. But credit to Urine, he showed up this weekend, and Urine can be a wrestler that blows hot and cold. I'm a fan of the guy, but he can blow hot and he can blow cold, and he can have stinkers. But he turned up this weekend for Carat and had all of his matches were enjoyable, and he was busting out offense he hasn't done since 2017, like the standing moonsault, doing his top rope moonsault as well for a big guy size of Urine, which is quite impressive. He is still athletically gifted, and when he does want to turn it up, he can, and he did in the speedball match. I think it's probably one of Urine's best matches in his career. So good for Urine, but yeah, speedball. Anyone who speedballs with just elevates him to that next level, and uh, I kind of played into then the next semi-final match, which kind of made it obvious which direction they were going to go.
Yep, Cowan Eddie Kingston. First story for the weekend was Kingston was fed up of making stars. He wanted to be a star himself, but in the end came a little bit short against Cowan Noir. I think this kind of, I don't say Eddie one-trick pony, but he had the one game plan, just not trying to beat the shit out of the other guy. I think Cowan Noir step ahead, sleeper suplex and a blackout sleep for win. But yeah, Eddie Kingston, I think, was the one guy who was being booed the whole weekend by design. And I think it just worked a treat getting Cowan Noir over to the final in his debut weekend.
Yeah, it did Cara Noir the world of good being put against Kingston in this match, because Cara was getting a mixed reaction night one. Then night two, the crowd started to really kind of accept him, and then by night three, by this match, the German homegrown fans had accepted Cara as one of their guys, and you had that real face heel dynamic in this match. You did have a certain proportion of the crowd that were cheering for Kingston, but majority was for Cara Noir, and a good match, and set up a very tasty final.
Again, we'll touch that later. Women's title. So, of course, going in, the storyline WXW had been building to was not Killer Kelly, was Melanie Gray against Amal, but being built around Carsten Beck, who was notably absent this weekend, at least on screen. Melanie Gray had to fight to get back to WXW, or at least in order to wrestle in Oberhausen. And then the week of the show, I think serious knee ligament injury, I think. She picked up, so she was dropped. They didn't announce replacement, and what ended up happening was apparently Killer Kelly was being given the replacement shot. She didn't want to just be handed the title shots, so she gave it to somebody else who was happy to take it. That being Stephanie Mays, and I will say the match, I think in terms of stars, I went 2.25, which on the surface doesn't look great, but a lot of the Turbine Hall crowd probably hadn't seen Stephanie before. I thought she more than held her own, but it was one of those matches where you had the background of the Killer Kelly storyline, which we can talk afterwards. It was leaving a bit of a sour taste in our mouth, but a more than passable match considering the relatively low experience on show here.
There's a tinge with this match when Stephanie Mays was announced as replacing Killer Kelly of WXW, having their replacement for Killer Kelly ready when she's not going to be booked by them anymore. I feel like Stephanie Mays, very similar gimmick, very similar introduction to the company as well. Very new, very green. Kelly was very new and very green when she was brought in, and it's being pushed into the spot for it to be filled. WXW, we can give them credit where it's due, but the women's division is not where credit's due for them. It's being booked pretty badly, and it's a notable absence of any top names or any kind of homegrown talent apart from Stephanie. Amal, who was established kind of elsewhere first. Valkyrie established elsewhere. They have a lot of wrestlers there who are just need experience, and they're not able to carry, like they're not able to have anything at the level of other European promotions in their women's division. It got an okay match, but I just felt I think it was a little too early for Stephanie. I think, and especially with someone like Amal's still early on in her career as well. Like she's needs a bit more time. She's got a character over, but the character is not going to get you to carry a relatively rookie wrestler through a serviceable match.
I kind of think had the background of Killer Kelly not wanting to wrestle, and she earns it. And I think when you kind of tease the fans with that match, and then give all due respect of relative rookie in Stephanie Mays. That one, I can understand the crowd being quiet. For me, the bit afterwards, had Stephanie Mays lost. Alexander James came in. He kicked out crutch from Melanie Gray's leg the other day. We did the same again here, and I guess what we're going for. I just think for a lot of people it is very uncomfortable viewing. Especially, you had the French fans at ringside again, like they were at Tag Festival. They gave heart-shaped balloons for Samal popped, Alexander James popped as well. It's like, I get what they're going for. I mean, they did something very similar with Dirty Dragon, the mental health storyline a few years back before CMJ left. But to me, there's something different between an individual with mental health issues, which a lot of people can relate to, myself included, and then this, it's an even final line they need to walk.
It felt very trashy. I felt WXW's booking of Alexander James this weekend was abhorrent. It was just terrible. I felt his matches were very average. And then this story as well. And I understand Alexander James is a great talker, but it shouldn't be for this purpose. And the storyline is uncomfortable, and it's not something you could say credit to WXW for trying something different, but it's not the right kind of different. They might need to nix this and reevaluate what they're trying to do. And whether this has a payoff long term, it's not what I don't think it's what fans want to see.
And again, see if this enforced break they're getting is going to make them change directions. But I guess seg from a match or an angle that had a bit of consternation to one that was a bit more emotional. This being Timothy Thatcher's farewell to WXW, Thatcher and Ishikawa against Walter and Nakeda, and again, two guys signed at WWE and two guys who said earlier combined age of over 100. This could have been all four of these guys phoning it in. Thankfully they didn't. But yeah, this was one I think a lot of people were still processing obviously losing David Starr the night before, and this on top. A very emotional weekend. There's more of a almost not like a ticker tape parade, but more of a everyone being grateful that they managed to see Timo one last time before he left. Even if he wasn't thankful that they tried to leave him the microphone to say a few words before he ran out.
I can't remember much of this match because I was fighting back tears, because it dawned on me as soon as Thatcher was in the ring. It's the last time I'm probably going to see him in Europe in a independent capacity, and I'm not a avid watcher of the WWE product, so I won't be seeing him on a regular basis and whatever he's doing with them. But it just dawned on me in that match that a wrestler who was a big part of what I fell in love with WXW back in 2017 was leaving. And then the send off, but the send off was very much a proper send off for Tim Thatcher, and he did ask for the mic at one point, and then he realized that he was getting the locker room guard of honor walking out, and then he just decided no, he wasn't having any of this, because he was visibly upset as well. This promotion, again, similar to Star, WXW took a chance on Thatcher with ambition, and Thatcher became one of their guys. you can't really nail, like, you can nail Thatcher down to two promotions, Evolve and WXW. The WXW run rehabbed his Evolve run. There's a reason why a lot of Europeans will sing his praises, and a lot of Americans who aren't familiar with WXW still consider him with that horrendous run that Gabe had him have in the mid 2010s. But yeah, it was very emotional, and unfortunately, as much as WXW tried, just the remainder of the card didn't, apart from maybe one or two things, didn't really pick up after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Timo, no, he's one of those guys. I remember watching him evolve, and we've said this about Evolve in the past. You have, it's not who you have, it's how you use them. And if you had someone like Timothy Thatcher and portray him to be purposely boring, what the hell are you doing as a booker? Like, wrestling, I don't want to say it's fake, but you can, promoters, writers, whatever you want to call them, control what happens in wrestling. And if your best idea is to portray someone as, willfully dull, willfully boring, you go back to the Lance Storm, the boring, storyline he had, which sure got him over. And I think Tim Thatcher, when he was booked into the ground as booked into the ground is a bit harsh, he had a really long title run, but booked to be, willfully boring as well. I would dare say that turned a lot of people off Evolve, when really they should have been a lot higher peak than they were. But thankfully, WXW got him. They used him absolutely fantastically. I remember, obviously Tag Festival last year when he won the title, just the sheer joy and the sheer delight we had. We joked when it was announced for World Tim Thatcher Festival, and obviously, he lost the belt 2 months later, and now this. But as sad as it was, and I believe were tears in my eyes as I was, typing away during that match. At least he got to go out with a win, and at least he got to go out in front for 1,200, 1,300 fans in the audience. So if this was his farewell, cheers to him, and hopefully see you back around down the line. But yeah, we had about quarter now to turn around from that, and shotgun title match. And this is, I think, where he was saying maybe heading towards the direction some are not happy with. They advertised Ilya Dragunov against Avalanche. And then we got a third man announced, which brought back memories of Carat, 2 years ago. It's Alexander Wolf who joined the match, makes the freeway. Yeah, I didn't know what made me. People, when we heard the ring camp music, thought, "Oh, is Walter coming back out?" No, Alexander Wolf, and he's done some home dates or Heimspieler stuff for WXW last year. And to me, I know there's going to be some people who think that Wolf coming back is, WWE's leaning a bit more. That may or may not be the case, but to me, it's like, you have your big surprise pop, he's coming back again a bit too soon. Like, was it only in November when he did the big tour of Dresden? The match he meant to have had with Ilya Dragunov, but got cancelled because they did the same match on NXT TV, and then the injuries and what have you. I mean, all power from him, we've got a recognisable face back, but I guess for those of us who aren't front and centre in WXW, or at least on the ground for the matches, Alexander Wolf coming back in and obviously winning the title, it's very hard not to see this as them being thrown a bone.
Yeah, there was two things that really bothered me about this match. The first part is Avalanche and Ilya was a match that was actually fairly well built in between the Dead End show, and the fact that Avalanche and Ilya have so much established history in WXW together with Cerberus and their matches they've had back and forth, battles they've had. The other thing as well was the way they had Ilya and Avalanche in the ring, and they had Tommy grab a piece of paper off one of the production guys saying the match is now a three-way dance. And then you're tainting one of WXW's most special moments, and then people having that shock reaction. Then it was Wolf. And now there's a disconnect between what I felt here and what the German fans had. The German fans loved this. This went down amazingly well with the live crowd for a majority of that crowd. But the traveling fans have seen this happen. They've seen these little kind of make goods from WWE with guys being brought in, and then having that guy win the title, which I could have probably taken Ilya winning the title, because Ilya's going to be in WXW a hell of a lot more than Wolf. Wolf is a US resident. He's pretty much, he's considered part of the main NXT roster. Ilya is still signed to that UK deal. It just left a very sour taste in my mouth, and then afterwards it just became a complete mess in terms of a story. Then trying to book around this.
Yeah, so I guess when it had been the road to Carat shows, I think it was when they start. I think first one I remember was Hamburg, but I'm sure it was a few before, where they had the eyeball on the screens with distracted Lucky Kid. This came up night one. I think for the start of this match with Jörn, the eyeballs came up the screen, distracted him, and he lost in very quick time. So yeah, after the match, Alexander Wolf does this whole, I'm staying here, I'm going to defend as champion, blah blah. Then the eyes pop on the screen, and then we see those who watch more than just WXW in Germany, a tag team called Group Anarchy. Abdul Kane and Aitak Bahar ran into the ring to attack Wolf. Unfortunately, I guess not many people in Oberhausen watch GWF. I don't blame them. They got the who are you chance. Then Lucky Kid, and I'll say one spectacular thing about this, how he didn't go arse over tea kettle over this, I have no idea, just the way he sprinted down that ramp. And bear in mind, it's not like the usual level walkway or a straight angle, it's like angle, flat bit, angle, floor. Could easily have tripped over and, done a spectacular entry for Botchamania, but yeah, Lucky Kid joined in, hit the ring, then joined in, and long German promo time. From what I could make out, he was fed with being the other guy, whether it was Schadenfreude, whether it was Rise, and Lucky Kid is now no more. He's now rechristened himself as Metahan, and I guess the big takeaway is he distracted himself.
Yeah, this is the part that gets me. It's I'd very easily copped on that this was where direction they were going, because Lucky Kid, in releasing his most recent merch for 16 Carat, had the eye on the merch, and with this phrase "expect the unexpected." So they were telegraphing this, that he was behind it. But then you think of, why was he distracting himself in these matches? This makes no sense at all. From a logic, why are you distracting yourself to lose matches? I'm all for putting Lucky Kid as part of a stable with having guys. I think it's that part and the group Easel that they formed. It's a good look for him, but the way it was executed was a fairly poor. And at the end of that match, it was just like, okay, I can see what they're doing, but just that execution was so poor. I'm glad they are rehabbing Lucky Kid. He needs it, considering he won Carat the year before. He needed serious rehab in terms of his character, so he's getting it, but sloppy execution, I think, from WXW on this part. But I'm willing to give them benefit of the doubt in how that plays out for the remainder of the year. Usually when they put steps in motion for these kind of turns, they usually have fairly decent payoffs.
Yeah, I guess a few things with Azel, I think it's means eternity, I think it is. So we're not going for Rise, but for one thing I really hope they do, they need to change up music. The Rise knockoff music that Lucky Kid's got, that cannot be repurposed for Azel, because you're going to have that. No, I'm not saying it's a stink, but if you're of the mindset of Lucky Kid's 2019 after winning Carat has gone to shit, then if you need to just clean slate, do what have you, get new music, then do that. It's interesting. I'm looking on his Twitter page now. Lucky Metahan was getting rid of his old ring jackets in February, and he's put up his old ring gear as well. So this again clearly isn't a, oh shit, this isn't going well. No, what do we do? This has been something they've planned for a long while. Yes, I think a rebrand. I think some people may take it as it's maybe a sign of defeat. I don't think that's the case. I think a year ago when we had Schadenfreude and WXW, I think there were plans there, but Schadenfreude not being around as much didn't help. But it'd be interesting to see where this goes. Obviously, when things pick up again. Two more matches left. We had the traditional Lucha Insanity 6-man tag, and we had another ball of money here, Gary. Hector Invictus, Puma King, Black Taurus against Julian Pace, Jeff Cobb, Bandido. This was absolute insanity. I literally just before we started recording, I watched the end back, and night one they made the announcement. Tommy saying only 4 notes, no coins. They didn't do this on night 2. So you can see at the end of the match, poor Julian Pace, cowering around because he's getting pelted with, the odd coins. And Jeff Cobb right at the end, and you can literally hear him, clear as saying the microphones. You can see a coin hit him, you go, fuck!
Yeah. Oh, Jeff Cobb had a great weekend at Carat this year.
For a late replacement, absolutely fantastic.
As a late replacement, I think it shows the level of that Cobb's at. Someone who has really backed on himself, and he's overcome terrible booking in Ring of Honor to really establish himself as one of the hottest names in kind of free agent, considering he's not actually signed to AEW at the moment. So yeah, and just this we can probably go on about Bandido for another hour, how good of a talent he is. And he is, he easily could be that next Lucha guy that just breaks, that becomes synonymous with what you consider Lucha. Not just on an independent level, but there's a star quality about him. I watch him, and I'm watching how when I first watched guys like Rey Mysterio, guys like Eddie and Chavo, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy just gets it. And again, as I said earlier, Pace stood out in this match as well. Pace went in with this match and well and truly stood on his own. And even Hector Invictus, who TKO 2 years ago was being one of the job guys for WXW on Shotgun tapings, and now he got a really good moment in a match with Cobb and Bandido and Pace. So very happy for him. I hope the Lucha style rules match becomes a tradition on Carat. I think it's that proper kind of palate cleanser before you go into your big final match. And it's always a great crowd pleaser. I love this. This brought me back into the show and brought me back into the mood for the main event.
And again, I think we've had this last year or two. I think when I looked at the field of entrance, Puma King, Black Taurus, Bandido, they were pretty much nailed on for this match. So, hey, they delivered. Final match, of course, the final of 16 Carat Gold, Carat Noir, Mike Bailey, and I guess it'd be fair to say it's a very rare final between two outsiders. I mean, this was Carat Noir's debut weekend. But in the end, he followed in the footsteps of Shingo, winning 16 Carat Gold on his debut weekend, and I thought it was a fantastic match. Maybe starting to get a bit alongside. I went 4 3/4. And this comes from a guy who was really ambivalent on Carat Noir until about 6 months ago. But I think this one, Mike Bailey, I don't say carried the match, but I think Carat Noir, stepped up his game. Having to win a tournament like this, you can't just be there. I think it's one thing by the end, they both hit the big finishes, then they went a step up, then another step up. I think the big thing in this match, which you don't really see a lot out of them, Speedball playing the very subtle but very obvious heel throughout this, made this match a whole lot better than if it was just two good guys kicking each other to bits.
We've seen flashes of heel Speedball Mike Bailey in some promotions, and it's something that it brings me unbridled excitement, because he can deliver in that role, and it's just been teases. but whoever actually books Speedball as this heel character is onto something with a lot of money. He's got it, and he can just. There's something about his style, the way he wrestles, that just like it becomes instantly more vicious, and his facial expressions become that so much more nastier. And to think of the guy, like how much of a sweetheart Mike Bailey actually is, it's such a great contrast. I was a little down on this match with how it finished. As a match, though, if it would take it out of the vacuum of 16 Carat Gold, was a phenomenal match and worthy of being the 16 Carat final. In terms of the in-ring quality, I think this is back to back, like two years in a row where the final is really delivered on an in-ring, on the in-ring side. But in terms of the booking, having the Progress World Champion come into the tournament for the very first time and win it, and you have Cara Noir now kind of the top guy in Progress, and now the guy bubbling under the top now for WXW. It's kind of leading to where Cara Noir is probably going to be ending up in a few months' time, which is no slight to Cara Noir if he does sign with WWE, but it just feels like this is being used as kind of a development step for him rather than Carat traditionally being given to a guy that's homegrown. And Speedball could have filled in that gap because Speedball's been in and out of this promotion for years. Speedball's first Carat was 2017. Yep. He's been in and out of the promotion consistently. And I think it would have been a nice kind of a nice moment for Speedball if he had won Carat, and I don't think most people would have been as negative on the overall weekend had Speedball won.
I think so. I think with this final again, a few people like yourself said how Cara Noir, he's gone well from nowhere. He's involved in Super Strong Style, not Super Strong Style, the National Progression Series last year, and then he's won the Progress title, and I'll say dubious circumstance, but I would argue maybe not for planned circumstances back in January, then miss. I do wonder if this was for planned to be his big, arrival on the scene, and then what happened in Progress kind of skewed things up. But yeah, again, I think this is where we are now with the label and with WWE and the Indies. If this was a extended trial for Cara Noir, well, it's passed. But again, we've seen, if you watch NXT UK, a lot of the guys who are fairly big deals within your Progresses, your Earth Pros, your WXWs, it's not nailed on that you're going to be a big deal in NXT UK unless you're treated like that out the gate. And for one thing I've said for a while about Cara Noir is, if you put him in there against another guy who's got a strong character, absolutely great. Week to week on TV, that's where I wonder is, I'm not saying he's knock off the ability we've seen this weekend, he absolutely does. But in terms of WWE TV, I'm not that convinced he's that big a fit. Like, you get the entrance, sure, but then the bell goes and 5-minute match, where do you go, especially considering he doesn't promo because of his character?
I have a feeling he's got the right allies in that system at the moment to make sure he's treated properly. There's definitely people who sign deals and they are fairly well protected. And I think he would be someone who'd be like that rather than exposed from the get-go to the harsh realities of WWE booking. But it just left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth over at the end of the weekend. And it is doubting whether I'll do Carat next year because I've already committed to doing the Catch Grand Prix in September. But yeah, like Carat was probably my definite trip that I would go every year since I booked it back for my first trip in 2017. I buying tickets for 2018 on the advice of Sarah and Alan, and then now where I'm considering is it worth my time? Not because it's not a phenomenal weekend of wrestling, but whether do I want to be my investment in the promotion that's producing this event is is declining, and very similar position it was with Progress in 2018, where after that Super Strong Style weekend, the writing was on the wall in the direction that they were going, and whether it was going to give them the time and effort and travel to go to those shows it was quickly fading.
I think, again, comparing WXW with Progress, I think WXW's got a lot more, how can I put it, we've got a lot more goodwill for fans in terms of, they were upfront, they've been upfront with the whole relationship from the start. You've not had it's all coincidence, but we having to move shows because of the same weekend as NXT UK, at least for the early going. I do think with this, it's going to be a case of, pardon the phrase, sucked and see. I mean, especially, for pause that everyone's having to go through right now. We don't know, how it's going to come out through the other end. I think the big takeaway, obviously, Carat Clash of NXT UK tapings, Tag League Clash of NXT UK tapings, these are happening a lot more often. Now, I think the next big festival is the Catch Grand Prix scheduled for September. Whether that goes ahead or not, we'll see. But the fact that right now, I think NXT UK don't have that much in the way of tapings booked beyond beyond download, I think it is. Let me check. So we've got, obviously, Download Festival. Tapings start in May. These currently on the books, of course. Who knows what's going to happen. And tapings in July. So, actually go ahead and plan. They usually get 6 or 8 episodes out of TV there. So, you're talking last week, July. So, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Depending on what they tape, they may well be running Catch Grand Prix head-to-head with another NXT UK taping, as funny as that lines up.
I think the XW they've learned from their previous experiences with the WWE overlap, that they tend to book their weekends without strong WWE guys or guys that they know WWE aren't going to need that weekend, which is a shame, because there is guys I would love to see in one of those weekends. But I feel, in considering the two names that have been announced so far, Laredo Kid and JD Drake having connections with NXT already, but Laredo Kid being a independent name outside of the big companies is it probably gives an indication the direction that they're going. But then again, that's still very much up in the air. We haven't even got a definite amount of how many people are going to be in that and stuff. So that's one to keep an eye on then for September.
Yeah, a lot of question marks. And again, I think we're pushing 2 hours. So I think, same with Carat, maybe a lot of question marks over booking the future. But as a weekender, I mean, I didn't do Cult, but again, take out the showcase. I don't see a single bad match across the WXW branded shows.
No,
which,
there wasn't.
Again, when you think you're talking, I think I counted my sheet, 60 matches. So if you've got 60 matches which at worst are okay, plus the big show feeling, 1,600 fans on a Saturday, 1,300 on the Sunday. Carat, as much as people are saying, the spectre of WWE may be causing a change in how people look at the WXW and the whole European scene. These Carat weekends still feel special. Whether 2021, when we get there, if we're in the same position we are now, or whether the trigger's being pulled and WXW now is on the WWE network, and you end up with the stuff that people say the booking's not entirely in their control. Right now, from what I'm seeing this weekend, it's all incidental stuff, I guess you'd say. But for me, having sat through all the shows, absolutely fantastic weekend, loved every second of it. And if this is, as seems to be, the last big time live wrestling weekend we're going to have for a while, it's been a hell of a weekend to go out on. Yeah,
I think part of me there was I would be kind of kicking myself that I didn't do 16 Carat, knowing how things kind of phased out. But in terms of enjoyable, that I do highly recommend anyone who hasn't ever done the trip to Oberhausen for 16 carat to do it. Even if it's a one-off bucket list thing, there's a special atmosphere around that weekend that it's not manufactured. It's there. It's very palpable, and Oberhausen on those weekends can be one of the best crowds in wrestling. So it's 100% worth your time if you haven't done it to do that weekend. Booking aside.
And if you go on Mike Kilby's Wild Ride, you get the whole WrestleMania weekend vibe in one day. So you could go to 4 shows on one day. I think as well with the way they set up this year, Kult is in the Kult Temple, which is, I believe it's in the car park of the Turbine Hall, so you're not like you're having to go across town for these. Again, if you won't be the kind of person who just goes through all the wrestling, well, here you go, and you only don't have to go too far away from the same building to do it. But we'll see where we are. But I want to thank you very much for joining us, Gary. I guess the obvious subject of news for the moment. What's your plans for what many think to be the impending lockdown? TNA?
Well, I think I've got a backlog of stuff that I haven't watched from the start of the year already. So wrestling wise, I think I'll be fairly kept up to date. But I'll also be working on stuff for Eurographs.com, which I cover predominantly the Irish side of wrestling for that site, but it will be covering stuff for WXW as well, from 16 Carat, as well as a little bit of piece on Wrestling Kult, because that's probably not going to make tape for quite a few months, and people need to hear about Mott Van Kunder against Christianium.
Before you're going to say Carnage and Rico Bushido there.
No. If you want to hear an in-depth review there, if you want, hit me up and I'll give you I'll point you in direction if you want to hear an amazing review of that match.
Will Cooling, PW Torch thinks had a lot of stuff covered, both in terms of WXW Carat and ongoing situation. But I guess everything's going on. Everyone stay safe. Pick your favourite VOD service. A huge amount of back catalogues to go through. I'm going to try and pick some highlights out. I know there's a lot of threads going around Twitter with stuff on YouTube. I'll say it's just stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you some point down the line.
Aber scheiß drauf, Karat ist nur einmal im Jahr. Ole, ole und schalala. Aber scheiß drauf, Karat ist nur einmal im Jahr.